Prince Harry is causing quite the stir, isn't he? After jetting into the UK from California, he waltzed into the High Court to give his evidence, looking relaxed and even had a smile on his face, bidding good morning to the waiting press.
Hello
The
there.
Duke of Sussex could have attended on the previous day, but he did not fly to the UK until Sunday evening so that he could help celebrate his 2-year-old daughter's birthday. Where have we heard that one before? The fifth in line to the throne was the first senior royal to give evidence in one of the monarch's courts in 132 years. After arriving in a swanky black Range Rover at the Royal Courts of Justice's modern wing, the Rolls building, he stepped into the Court 15 witness box at 10:28 a.m. wearing a dapper navy suit and dark purple tie and swore an oath to tell the truth on the Bible. The last royal in the witness box was Edward VII in 1891, who gave evidence when a slander action was brought by a card player accused of cheating at baccarat at a time when gambling was illegal. His appearance in the witness box left Queen Victoria unamused, but it is not known what Harry's father, King Charles III, thinks about his son's historic court appearance. Harry and 3 others are suing the Mirror Group, claiming the Daily Mirror, Sunday Mirror, and the People newspaper hacked their phones or conducted other illegal activity, which is denied. Harry has alleged that around 140 articles published between 1996 and 2010 by Mirror Group newspapers contained information gathered using unlawful methods. The Duke of Sussex launched an outspoken attack on the British press, demanding, "How much more blood will stain their typing fingers before someone can put a stop to this madness?" and branded the government rock bottom, claiming it was scared of alienating the press and that this was incredibly worrying for the entire UK. Harry added, "Democracy fails when your press fails to scrutinize and hold the government accountable, and instead choose to get into bed with them so they can ensure the status quo." He said, "I may not have a role within the institution, but, as a member of the British royal family, and as a soldier upholding important values, I feel there's a responsibility to expose this criminal activity in the name of public interest." Harry has also said that he hoped to save journalism as a profession and was bringing his claim not because he hates the tabloid press or even necessarily a section of it, but in order to properly hold the people who have hijacked privileges which come with being a member of the press to account for their actions. When asked whether his own drug use, an illegal act, was in the public interest when as a teenager he was then 3rd in line to the throne, he responded, "There's a difference between public interest and what interests the public." As the world was captivated by Harry's landmark appearance, he used his pulpit beneath the High Court coat of arms of his father the Sovereign to claim that Princess Diana's former butler Paul Burrell was a two-faced shush, that stories about James Hewitt being his biological father made him fear he might be ousted from the royal family, and that he worried he would be expelled from Eton for taking drugs. He also said that Diana's supposed paranoia mirrored his own fears of friends betraying him. Talking about the stories surrounding James Hewitt being his father, Harry said that he was 18 when he first heard, quote, "a rumor that my biological father was James Hewitt, a man my mother had a relationship with after I was born." He added, "At the time of this article and others similar to it, I wasn't actually aware that my mother hadn't met Major Hewitt until after I was born. This timeline is something I only learnt of in around 2014. The Duke said, "At the time when I was 18 years old and had lost my mother just 6 years earlier, stories such as this felt very damaging and very real to me. They were hurtful, mean, and cruel. I was always left questioning the motives behind the stories." Harry then asked, "Were the newspapers keen to put doubt into the minds of the public so I might be ousted from the royal family?" Harry recounted the infamous time in 2005 he dressed in a very inappropriate military costume. He said, "There was a lot of press coverage of me at the time, as I had attended a fancy dress party." When Harry was 20, he triggered a storm of outrage when a picture was published in The Sun of him wearing the said outfit complete with a symbol on his arm to a native and colonial party. He said it was a poor choice of costume, and he was very sorry if I caused any offense or embarrassment to anyone. In his memoir Spare, he claimed that Prince William and Kate encouraged him to wear the distasteful soldier costume. In the statement to the court, he said, "It was a challenging period for me. I had been immature, I hadn't really thought about my actions, and I had made a stupid decision." But he complained about the press, "My mistakes were being played out publicly." Harry alleges the Mirror, which had followed up the Sun's story, must have used hacking because it reported his girlfriend Chelsea Davy was furious and had given me a tongue lashing down the phone following allegations that I had been flirting with a brunette at the party. The Duke said, "How could the defendant's journalists know about this?" Harry has also admitted he would have referred to Paul Burrell as a two-faced shush, as was reported in a newspaper article which he said accurately sets out the position. His mother's former butler had recently been on trial for allegedly selling Diana's possessions, and after the case collapsed, Prince William had wanted to meet with Burrell, according to the 2003 article in The People, as the only way to stop him selling more Diana secrets. But Harry feared the former servant would simply use it as an opportunity to make money. He said, "The article accurately sets out the position that my brother was open to fixing a meeting with Paul to discuss his ongoing exposés about our mother. However, I had made up my mind about the kind of person I thought Paul was, and was firmly against meeting him. Both my brother and I had very strong feelings about how indiscreet Paul had proven to be with the way he had sold our mother's possessions and how he had given numerous interviews about her." The prince claimed that the People article, which claimed Harry had condemned Burrell, must have been sourced from interception of voicemails, admitting, "I would have used the phrase two-faced shush, as is reported, and believed this could have been lifted directly from a voicemail I had left." Harry was also extremely worried that he was going to be expelled from Eton after a Daily Mirror article was published regarding drug use in 2002. He said, "Eton had a zero drugs policy in place." The headline was misleading. He claimed because he only smoked cannabis, he was quoted as telling his father, and it made it sound like he was hosting the parties. The Duke said it was not clear to me where the journalists had got their quotes from, so it made him wonder with hindsight if they had heard something they were not intended to, and as there was no explanation of how they learned the information, he was at a loss as to who would have said it. Harry suffered the same gnawing fears as Princess Diana. He said, "I've always heard people refer to my mother as paranoid, but she wasn't. She was fearful of what was actually happening to her, and now I know that I was the same." He claimed articles about him as a teenager made him feel constantly suspicious of those close to him, including former nanny Tiggy Legbook and his friend Mark Dyer. The Duke said, "I doubted the loyalty of Tiggy and even Marco, who I really looked up to." When Harry visited a Spearmint Rhino club with fellow Sandhurst cadets, an article in The People claimed Chelsea Davy blew her top and had let rip in a string of phone calls. The Duke said the story must have come from phone hacking, adding, "I don't think Chelsea did go mad about me going there. We did speak about it over the phone, but I promised her that I hadn't had a lap dance and stayed with the 3 other cadets that had girlfriends." The prince admitted that his memoir Spare contradicted a claim in his witness statement at the High Court, and denied accusations his solicitors drafted evidence for him. The Duke of Sussex said he could not remember whether he wanted to meet his mother's former butler Paul Burrell, despite his opposition apparently causing a rift with his brother Prince William, when asked about an article published in December 2003. But Andrew Green KC, for Mirror Group Newspapers, MGN, pointed to a discrepancy between Harry's witness statement, in which he says he didn't want to hear Mr. Burrell's reasons for selling some of Diana's possessions, and giving interviews about her, and his memoir Spare, where he wrote he wanted to fly home from his gap-year job in the Australian outback to meet him. In a day that contained a number of heated exchanges, Harry also tried to turn questions on a lawyer after the High Court was told a story subject to one of his complaints came from a royal press release. Andrew Green KC, for Mirror Group Newspapers, told the Royal, "I am here to cross-examine you. I am afraid that's the way this works, Prince Harry." The Duke has also made his feelings clear about Piers Morgan. He said that horrific personal attacks and intimidation on him and Meghan were allegedly made by the former editor of the Daily Mirror, Piers, and said that he is exposing media criminality for moral reasons and as a soldier upholding important values. The Duke of Sussex wrote, "The thought of Piers Morgan and his band of journalists earwigging into my mother's private and sensitive messages in the same way as they have me, and then having given her a nightmare time, 3 months prior to her death in Paris, makes me feel physically sick and even more determined to hold those responsible, including Mr. Morgan, accountable for their vile and entirely unjustified behavior." Harry said that Piers has unleashed a barrage of horrific personal attacks and intimidation against Harry and his wife. Harry added this was as a consequence of me bringing my Mirror Group claim, and was presumably in retaliation and in the hope that I will back down, before being able to hold him properly accountable for his unlawful activity towards both me and my mother during his editorship. Mr. Morgan was editor of the Daily Mirror from 1995 to 2004 and has always denied phone hacking, saying he will not take lectures on privacy invasion from somebody who has spent the last 3 years ruthlessly and cynically invading the royal family's privacy for vast commercial gain. Morgan has hit back at Prince Harry's criticism, telling Sky News that he didn't see any of Harry's comments, but added, "I wish him luck with his privacy campaign and look forward to reading about it in his next book." Please like and subscribe for more journeys through the blinker hole. For entertainment purposes only.